The New England Patriots may have fallen to 1-5 on Sunday, but the future looks bright with Drake Maye at quarterback. Stick around. You're about to be locked in to the Locked On Patriots podcast.
You are Locked On Patriots, your daily New England Patriots podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello to all of you Foxborough faithful, and thank you once again for making Locked On Patriots a daily part of your New England Patriots coverage, and also and hopefully your first listen each and every day. I'm your host, Mike Debate. I cover your New England Patriots for Patriots Country of Athlon Sports. Reach out to me. Let me know what's on your mind on X at MDABATENFL. And while you're out there showing some love to Locked On Patriots social media style, please follow our account there as well at LO_Patriots. And Pats fans, on the docket today, the New England Patriots fall to 1-5 after a 41-21 loss to the Houston Texans at home. Under normal circumstances, it would be dogs and cats living together, mass hysteria, but all eyes are on the quarterback position and on the debut of Drake Maye. Relatively impressive debut for the kid. We're going to break it all down for you here today, including a performance around him that wasn't necessarily up to the task, especially by the defense. Positives and negatives splintered all over this episode, and here today to help me break it all down is my good friend, the legend himself, the Count of Murphy Fisto, Thomas Murphy. Thank you for coming to me on this Pats Texans post-game reaction show. Don Murph.
Could you be more optimistic about a team that lost by 20 points, Mike? Could you?
It's hard. You try to think back into recent memory for the New England Patriots, and it just doesn't seem possible, Murph.
No.
I mean, a 20-point loss is a reason for Patriots fans, for any fan base, to be upset, to be angry, to be disheartened by what they've seen. But we're seeing just the opposite, and that is the impact of one Drake Maye. And that's going to be the focus of our conversation today. So stick around, folks. You are not going to want to miss a single second of the action. And of course, please remember, today's episode is brought to you by Prize Picks. Go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnNFL and use the code all lowercase LockedOnNFL to win $50 instantly when you play $5. Murph, Drake Maye's first career start can be summed up as a future positive among the present negative. Drake obviously going 20 of 33 for 243 yards, 3 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, led the team with 38 rushing yards on 5 attempts, so he's not shy about extending plays or making plays.
We'll get into
with
that.
legs. Overall, how impressed were you with the rookie despite everything going on around him? What were your thoughts on Drake's debut on Sunday?
I was extremely impressed with how he handled the huddle, with how he handled things at the line of scrimmage, with how he looked off the easier throw to find a streaking Butte down there for a touchdown. Okay, because he had stuff open underneath, but no, this kid took the chance and took the shot. He knew the clock was running down. We could have gone, well, yeah, we'll go here, hit a timeout, and at least get 3 on the board. Nope, he went for broke, and I loved it. I really did. But what yesterday showed me the most was that the Patriots were smart in letting this kid simmer before he, you let him into the kitchen to cook. The pot was simmering for 5 weeks. I thought that it should have been longer, but maybe I was wrong. We don't know. We've got more games coming up. Some people say that it would have been a softer landing spot last week against the Dolphins than it was against this formidable Texans defense. And I don't know about that. I really don't. I think the defense let him down quite a bit on Sunday. Gerard Mayo said so in his press conference afterwards, but I liked what I saw from Drake Maye. He moved the chains with his feet when he had to. I would have liked to have seen him move those chains a little bit more on purpose, but that goes on Alex Van Pelt and not necessarily the rookie that I could be expecting too much to maybe do a little more.
Yeah, I think that's a very good point, and I'm glad that you mentioned Drake's poise, his determination, maybe even his toughness in the face of adversity. These are all qualities that quarterbacks need to have in order to succeed at any walk of football on the gridiron, whether it be high school, whether it be college, especially in the pros. Because as everyone knows out there, mistakes are going to happen. Isaac Shea joined me here on Friday, and we talked a little bit about the quicksand effect on Drake and whether or not one thing going wrong after another would have a detrimental effect
Yep.
on the product that we saw on the field. I was very pleasantly surprised to say that we didn't see that from Drake Maye. There wasn't a quicksand effect. Yes, there were mistakes. There were times where he looked like a rookie on the field.
Yep.
You go back to the fourth quarter, holds on to the ball a little bit too long, attempts
Yeah.
to screen to Antonio Gibson. That's
Yeah.
tipped. And then there you go. And Will Anderson and Eric Murray turn that into an interception. That's a mistake that rookies are going to make, that Drake is going to have to learn from. But you never saw him hang his head. You never saw him look
No.
like he was defeated as a result of that. And those are things that, especially for a rookie in their first start, is going to be very, very difficult to shake off. I was very impressed by the way Drake seemed to be able to have what a lot of people call a short memory. And that's an important thing for a rookie to have.
Yeah.
You don't want to dwell on your mistakes. You want to be able to move past them. I thought he did a very good job when it came to that. I love the pass to Kayshon Boutte. I thought Boutte ran a good route, but I thought Drake showed an awful lot of confidence in his own ability to put the ball where he needed to have it. Look, Derek Stingley is right on his tail. That's one of the best cornerbacks in the league right now. And Drake basically said to Kayshon, you know what? I'll put it there. I'll lead you to the end zone. You go get it. And a credit to Kayshon Boutte, he went to get it, but a big credit to Drake Maye for making that pass in that regard. So a lot to like when it came to the New England Patriots rookie. Murph, in terms of mechanics, you're going to see better anticipation, better timing when it comes to Drake's game. But in terms of the intangibles that he brings to the table, arm strength, off-script ability, the things we knew he had, anything in that bucket yesterday that stood out to you as saying, okay, yeah, that's the Drake that we drafted?
No, honestly, because this isn't the Drake that we drafted. It really isn't. The things that Michael had just mentioned, yes, they're there. But what I was most impressed with was what he was able to do at the line of scrimmage, what he was able to do under center yesterday. I had called for a lot of shotgun and a lot of pistol, and but we didn't see as much of it as I thought we probably would. Him being, Alex Van Pelt maybe running home to mama and doing more of the spread stuff, more of that shotgun and pistol, because Drake would be more comfortable with it. No, he went with his offense, and what let him down was the lack of a running game and turnovers. Okay, the biggest drawback to this game was I tweeted last night that was turnovers and short fields are what lost this game. It was not Drake Maye. All right, for 20 years, the Patriots lived off of turning their opponents over and getting short fields for and translating that into success. Yesterday afternoon, we saw the opposite side of that coin, and that's what Texas was able to do with that's what the Texans were able to do against the Patriots, and they turned it into their first W up here in Foxborough.
I'm glad you mentioned the lack of a running game, because everything leading into this matchup this week, Murph, had been predicated on the Patriots being able to use the run, heavily lean on the run first, take the pressure off the kid, allow him to be able to lean on those running backs, and then be able to make plays. When you take Ramondre Stevenson out of the equation, all respect to Antonio Gibson, who I think gave his best effort yesterday, did everything he could, but he is more of a third down weapon. He's more of a complementary back. Do you think we would have seen even more out of Drake yesterday with a healthy Ramondre in the lineup?
Oh, yeah, without a doubt. The running game was, as I like to say, Pepto-Abysmal yesterday, and that has a lot to do with play calling. It had a lot to do with the offensive line that was out there. If you take out Drake Maye's footwork, the team had 44 yards on 21 carries. 44 yards on 21 carries. That's just like a little more than 2 yards per rush. All right. Gibson, Hasty, Terrell Jennings got bumped up for the game. Where the hell is Kevin Harris?
Very good.
Where's Kevin Harris, people? Why was Harris not called up for this game? Harris is I thought had a very good camp.
He did.
I was really shocked that he was released, and then even more shocked that he wasn't picked up by somebody else after the good camp that he had.
Yeah.
And this is a game yesterday where Kevin Harris could have been used. He could have been used in the Ramondre type role in those off tackle, off guard runs. If you weren't going to go with the outside stretch zone stuff, you needed somebody that was going to be able to bang it up in there. And that's Kevin Harris, people.
Yeah, without any question. I had Kevin making the 53-man roster
Yeah,
coming out
so
of
did I.
camp. So, yeah, I think that a lot of people are surprised that we haven't seen him called up just yet. And I thought yesterday's game, obviously, with Ramondre Stevenson out of the lineup, would have been the opportune time. And he's a veteran presence on
Right.
this team, on that field, someone who knows what it takes to get across the line of scrimmage, to get across the goal line when you're a New England Patriot. Yeah, I think that's definitely a question that should linger this week. And I'm definitely glad that you brought that up. And again, just to come back to Drake Maye for just a second, it goes beyond the statistics. And I think we've articulated that well here
Yep.
today, Murph, or at least tried to. I know you have. I've done my best to do it as well. To me, the most encouraging takeaway is the growth within the game that you see within Drake Maye. And you talked
Right.
about this, his presence at the line of scrimmage, his ability to make the call of which play to push it, which play not to push it, making plays within structure, because we saw him do
Yeah.
that a lot yesterday. But the one thing also is that off script ability that we know and love from his time in North Carolina. That's a big selling
Yeah.
point, and that's something that I think needs to remain a part of his game. I saw a nice blend yesterday, and I think that's going to continue to meld together in a positive setting. So,
He was able to do yesterday with his feet and extending plays allowed for a lot of receptions to be made. When you extend plays, it gives wide receivers that may not have the separation uh, ability early in a route
mhm,
to extend that route, and it gives them more time to get open, and you end up
mhm,
finding guys like Hunter Henry over the middle. You end up finding the Keyshawn Bouttes down the sideline, or at the second level. That wasn't happening when uh, over the past year and a half. It definitely wasn't happening over the
mhm.
first 4 or 5 games of this season.
Yeah, very good point. And again, going back to the well after it's come up dry, just the time before
Yep.
that, those things are the types of things that rookie quarterbacks can build on. Mrs. Demario Douglas on that crosser earlier, that leads to an interception. You would
Mm,
think a rookie quarterback would say, I'm never doing that again. I'm
right.
not going near that
Nope.
again. He does it again. And this time he hits Demario Douglas in stride for the 35
How
yard
great did
touchdown.
Pop look
So
yesterday?
he did. With a quarterback that's willing to utilize his strengths, Demario Douglas proving that he is an explosive playmaker on this team, and he may just have a beautiful friendship budding with one Drake Maye, and you definitely love to see it. Folks, a lot of positives to be taken from the field yesterday, not just when it comes to Drake, but all the way around when it comes to the offense. Of course, there were a lot of negatives too, and a big negative, surprisingly enough, Murph, was the play of the Patriots defense. We were told this was supposed to be the selling point of this team. However, the Patriots defense egregious yesterday. A lot of missteps, and Murph and I are here to break them all down for you in just a moment when this episode of the Locked On Patriots podcast continues, a proud part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Listen up, gentlemen. Your sex life is important. And let's face it, when it comes to the bedroom, nothing is worse than feeling off your game. But your schedule is busy. You don't have the time to go to a doctor's office to get treated for ED. Well, the good news is through HIMS, you can get a personalized treatment without stepping foot outside your door. HIMS is changing men's health care by providing you with access to affordable sexual health treatments from the comfort of your couch. The process is 100% online, so there's no need for uncomfortable doctor's visits. Just answer a series of questions on their site, and a medical provider will determine the right treatment option. If prescribed, your medication ships directly to you in discreet packaging for free. No insurance is needed, and one low price covers everything from treatments to ongoing care. Start your free online visit today at hims.com/locked on. That's HIMS.com/locked on for your personal ED treatment options. hims.com/locked on. The products mentioned are chewable compounded products which are not approved by or verified for safety or effectiveness by the FDA. Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan. Locked On listeners, time is our most precious commodity, so don't waste it scrolling through the same mind numbing content for hours and hours. How can you spend it wisely to improve yourself? Well, our sponsor, Hillsdale College, is offering more than 40 free, that's right, free online courses, including Constitution 101, the meaning and the history of the U.S. Constitution, Introduction to Free Market Economics, The Great American Story, A Land of Hope, and a brand new documentary style course on Marxism, socialism, and communism. And all of Hillsdale's courses are self paced so that you can start whenever and tune in wherever. Plus, you can go deeper with readings, quizzes, discussions, or just enjoy the lectures. Go right now to hillsdale.edu/locked on to enroll. There's no cost and it's easy to get started. Don't delay, do it today. That's hillsdale.edu/locked on to register. Hillsdale.edu/locked on. Patriots fans, thank you once again for joining us here today on Locked On Patriots, breaking down the Patriots' 41-21 loss to the Houston Texans. Pats falling to 1-5 on the season. Murph, one of the things that I think a lot of Patriots fans expected when Drake Maye got out there was when you look at the offense, the way it's played, and you look at the defense based on what we were promised this defense was going to be, it was almost supposed to be an evening of the balance scales. The offense was finally going to be able to give this defense an opportunity to make plays, knowing they could hand the ball back to the offense and maybe get some points out of the deal. Drake Maye, for the most part, held up his end of the bargain. I don't think anyone expected all the problems to be cured in one game, but he looks like a quarterback that's going to be able to do that in due time. But right now, this Patriots defense is showing a lot of cracks in the foundation, I guess is the best way for me to put it. After the game, Devon Godchow says we have to get back to the standard of playing great defense. 41 points is embarrassing. Murph, when you look at this defensive performance yesterday against the Texans, top to bottom, understandably knowing what the Texans are, what about this defense was specifically embarrassing on Sunday?
We couldn't stop the run. I was wholeheartedly disappointed in the effort of everybody except Devin Godchow. It was awful. It was just downright awful to not be able to. I don't care if you're the first string guy or somebody called up from the practice squad. Make the tackle in front of you, please. Make the tackle in front of you. I thought that was awful. I also thought that Gonzalez took a step back in his ascension as one of the better cornerbacks in the league. It was God, man. The Texans wideouts had 6 of 7 catches for 77 yards and a touchdown. And I'm talking about Stephon Diggs, and beat Gonzalez badly over the middle in the end zone for a score. It was terrible. He should have never lost that inside leverage there. He only had 3 tackles on the day. It was not a good day for the secondary either. So as a whole, you can go down and take a look at Jonathan Jones. Tank Dell is a talented kid, but I expected the Patriots to be able to man up against this Texans offense and hold their own, and they just didn't.
Yeah. Jonathan Jones, final stat line on him, allowing 5 catches on 5 targets for 71 yards with the
Yep.
touchdown. And as you mentioned, it's Dell that steps up, not coming into this game playing his best football. I think
No.
Dell did not seem like the same receiver
Right.
that we saw last year that we're seeing on the field this year. Obviously, taking a major step back with the presence of Stephon Diggs. Not only that, but you also see the presence of someone like Nico Collins, who has emerged in one of the league's top roles, statistically coming into yesterday's game, the league's top receiver. So Tank definitely took a little bit of a step back, but he showed that he's still a formidable pass catcher. Diggs obviously doing his due diligence against Christian Gonzalez. This may have been Gonzalez's, I don't want to say his worst performance as a pro, but it was a tough one to
No.
watch for him. 6 catches on 7 targets, 44 yards, allowing the touchdown. This according to Pro Football Focus, folks, their preliminary stat tracking. So bottom line, the New England Patriots defense, especially their secondary, struggled yesterday. We
Yep.
wondered all week long, are the Houston Texans going to try to challenge that Patriots secondary, knowing that Jabril Peppers is not going to be in the lineup, knowing that Kyle Duggar is nowhere near full strength, and CJ Stroud and that Texan offense did test it. And when you're ripping off 59-yard runs as a compliment,
right,
there's no way to be able to contain
that's it. It's not all on them. I thought the it starts with what they were able to do on the ground, but then there was absolutely no pass rush yesterday. None.
Yeah.
Dietrich Wise had a terrible game.
Mhm.
Okay, both stopping the run and getting to the quarterback. It just did not happen. There are a lot of there's a lot of slices to this blame pie. Yes, it's really tough when you keep having to face a short field, but you've got to do your job. You got
Mhm.
to do your job. Wise didn't do anything to make Stroud hesitate or just think twice about any play. The pass rush was just terrible, terrible.
Mhm. Absolutely. Yeah, it definitely was. And look, there's opportunities there for a quarterback as talented as CJ Stroud to be
Right.
able to play through that and be able to exploit that. The Patriots played man coverage in 52.9% of Houston's passing plays yesterday. Stroud threw all 3 of his touchdowns against man schemes.
Yep.
When you're going through those types of progressions and you're seeing that, and the pass rush is allowing you to be able to get away with it, yeah, you're going to take
Yep.
advantage of it. There's too much talent on that Houston offense not to do that. And the return of Joe Mixon was huge in this game for Houston as well. When the Texans are getting 59 and then 54 yards on the ground
Yep.
in order to set up some big, plays, naturally, I mean, things are going to go downhill. I know there were defensive pass interference calls that set up short fields, like you
Right.
said. Devon Godchaux, to his credit, after the game said that's not an excuse. And
Right.
it's not. You have to, like you said, Murph, you have to be able to do your job. Patriots defense simply did not do it yesterday.
No, it simply didn't. And I don't want to hear take out the long run of 59 for Mixon, take out Pierce's 54-yard run, and then
Mm,
you can't do that.
mm,
You can't
good
you
point.
can't do that, people. They didn't make the stops when they needed to. The stops were there to be made, and you just olayed it.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's a very good point. I love the
Olay.
yeah, I do. I love the major league reference in there,
Hmm, 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 hmm,
but we're
hmm.
a family show, folks. We're not going to go
Right.
on full on with the quote,
No.
but if you're a fan of Lou Brown the way we are, you know exactly how that one ends. But bottom line, Murph, moving forward now, Gerard Mayo, defense is his strong suit.
Yep.
DeMarcus Covington, he's the defensive coordinator. You've got Brian Belichick, you've got Pellegrino, you've got all of these coaches now that need to get into a room to try to fix what we saw on the field yesterday from the Patriots against the Texans. Where is ground zero? Where do they start? What is going to be the primary topic in that defensive coach's strategy leading into this game against the Jaguars this weekend?
Stop the run, don't over
Mm,
pursue, and make your tackles.
mm,
That's it.
yeah.
I again running home to mama. Bill Belichick would constantly um, pound into his defensive front. Stay in your lane, good
Mm,
pad level, don't get behind the play, and that's what they need to be able to do. That's the focus for this defense next week is to be able to stop the run. If you can't do that, you can't win in the NFL.
yeah, no, you absolutely can't, and you're not going to. Whether you're the 1-5 New England Patriots or the 5-1 Houston Texans,
Yeah.
that type of formula is not going to work for any team. On the defensive side of the ball, the Patriots made it very easy for the Houston Texans to make that an early track meet and dig themselves a hole they simply could not crawl out of. Folks, the defense was obviously a big negative for the New England Patriots, but there weren't all negatives to be taken from the field. There were some positives that don't include quarterback Drake Maye, some players and some units that stepped it up a little bit and made you believe that maybe brighter days are ahead. Maybe even as soon as this Sunday in jolly old England at Wembley Stadium. Murph and I are going to talk some positives and some negatives and remaining thoughts to be taken from the Gillette Stadium field in Week 6 when this episode of the Locked On Patriots podcast continues, a proud part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Listen up, Locked On listeners. When it comes to daily fantasy sports, Prize Picks is the best place to get real money sports action. With over 10 million members and billions of dollars in awarded winnings, Prize Picks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. You just pick more or less on at least 2 players for a shot to win up to 100 times your cash. Run your game all season long on Prize Picks. And what I love most about Prize Picks is that it puts its members first, so all withdrawals are fast, safe, and secure. When my picks hit, I can get my money in as quick as 15 minutes. And when you sign up today, you get $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. Make your picks in less than 60 seconds and turn your sports opinions into real money all season long on Prize Picks. Download the app today and use the code LOCKEDONNFL to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. That's $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup when downloading the app today and using the code LOCKEDONNFL. Prize Picks. Run your game. Pats fans, thank you very much for joining us here today on Locked On Patriots as we continue to break down the Patriots' 41-21 loss to the Houston Texans on Sunday at Gillette Stadium. And of course, joining me here to break it all down is my good friend, the legend himself, Thomas Murphy. And of course, folks, if you're making Locked On Patriots your first listen today, we appreciate you. And we always give a tip of the cap to all of you out there that support Locked On Patriots, especially all of you everydayers. We could not do this show without you. Thank you so much. And if you are making us your first listen, please make your second listen our good friends over at Locked On NFL. All the major storylines all across both conferences, broken down and analyzed by the great team of analysts we have right here on the Locked On Podcast Network. And of course, just like Locked On Patriots, Locked On NFL comes at you courtesy of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And Murph, bottom line, we opened the show today by saying that a 41-21 loss is usually enough to send a fan base into either anger or just malaise negativity when it comes to losing a game like this on your home field. Before we get into the positives to be taken from the field, because you know we love to end on a high note, and we're going to end on a high note today. When you look at this team, what are still some of the things that are not sitting right when it comes to what you watched yesterday? Your negative takeaways that you're continuing to harbor from this Week 6 loss to the Texans.
Jalen Polk needs to hold on to a ball. Okay. I was not high on the drafting of Jalen Polk. We've been over it time and time again, but for 2 weeks in a row, he's trending down in my estimation. He started out well, but no, Jalen Polk needs to be able to hold on to a ball. Polk had 1 catch for 4 yards on 4 targets on Sunday. I think he had 2 drops on the day. I'm not sure. I don't have that number in front of me, but he needs to be able to pull in the targets that he gets. The targets that he gets are important. He's expected to do more. He's a second-round pick, and no, I'm not going to hang a bust on him. He is what he is. But no, that's one of my downs for yesterday. Austin Hooper, what the hell are you doing? You know, the fumble that he gave up. I mean, credit for trying to get up and get a little bit extra, but you got to hold on to the ball there. There was another short field that the Patriots gave to them, so it's really difficult. No, it's not difficult to say that even though the Patriots passing game has not looked better in 3 years than it did yesterday, that it could have looked even better than that.
Very good point. And I know a lot of fans right now are uneasy about Jalen Polk. And I agree with you, Murph. I really do believe that there has to be better hands there because this is one of the selling points that Jalen had coming into the
Yeah,
NFL. Excellent at the point of attack, excellent at the point of catch. Yeah, you need to see better fundamentals. The good news is, folks, and I think Murph articulated this well, he's a rookie. You will see
right.
him make improvements and he will end up being a solid receiver. So, not a great day for him yesterday, clearly on the negative side when it came to his performance, but I think more positive days lay ahead. To me, the most egregious thing to take from the field yesterday from the New England Patriots is they are still penalizing themselves. I understand, folks, that the argument is going to be made that this officiating crew did a terrible job. We're going to get
Awful.
into that in just a
Yeah.
moment because there was one that clearly was not the fault of the New England Patriots. And this actually angers me, Murph. But you had 9 penalties yesterday. Once again,
Nine
9 times
nine
that the
times.
Patriots are penalized. You got a couple of false starts on the offensive line. Those have to be cleaned up. Defensive offsides by Dietrich Wise Jr., who did not
But it was
have
better than
his
last
best
week.
game yesterday. It was. I mean, you have when you have 12
Right.
against. Yeah, I
Last
mean,
week was over 100 yards in penalties. This week they cut it in half. So let's do that again.
exactly right. I guess in that respect, see, Murph's always thinking glass half full, folks. I'm thinking glass half empty here. We're reversing roles on
Reversing your
Locked
roles
On
today.
Patriots. But you know what? No, in all actuality, I agree with you. I mean, things are getting better, but they need to clearly get better. You cannot continue to dig yourself holes and allow yourself to get put into positions that make it more difficult for you to win. As the late great Herb Brooks would say, portrayed by Kurt Russell in Miracle, gentlemen, you do not have enough talent to win on talent alone.
Right.
This is what the New England Patriots have to remember. When you dig holes like that, you're not
Right.
going to allow yourselves an opportunity to make things happen. Murph, specifically, before we move on to the positives and end on a high note,
Yep.
we talked about the officiating, and I think everyone is going to look back on early in the third quarter. Texas defensive end Mario Edwards clearly committing a
Right.
face mask penalty,
Right.
grabs Antonio Gibson's face mask before pulling him to the ground. Anyone that's seen the replay of this
I
can
don't
see it's as
know how you
plain as
missed this.
day. It's clear to everyone. How did the official miss this? Pats fans were incensed by this. So were you and I and our
Yeah.
colleagues in the media. I mean, you really heard a lot of criticism heading toward the officials on this. This is a case of grin and bear it for the New England Patriots right now, but plays like this, in my opinion, should be reviewed. If you're making your case to the league, I'd show them this video. Thankfully, Gibson wasn't seriously hurt on
Right.
this. He could have been. This to me is an example of why these plays should be reviewed. I just don't understand how this goes uncalled in a
Yeah.
professional football game.
If it's impossible for a player to criticize officiating without getting a serious fine these days.
Mm,
I don't care about the 15 yards. I really don't. I care about whether or not officials are picking these up and across the board. I forget who tweeted it yesterday. These calls are being missed game in and game out
yes,
across the league,
very good point.
not just against the Patriots.
Yeah,
This is not a Patriot centric thing that the Pats never get that call. Nobody is getting this call.
right.
No one.
That is such a great point, Murph. I'm so glad that you made that because, folks, it's about player safety, not just Patriots player safety. There's got to be a level of accountability. They've done and made great strides, not perfect strides, but great strides in trying to be able to mitigate head injuries.
Yep.
Neck injuries can be just as devastating, if not more devastating. You need to absolutely make sure that your players are being protected. Yeah, that was an egregious miss yesterday for the officials, and they deserve the criticism they're getting for missing that. But Murph, in the interest of ending the way we started, I think it's good to end on a high note. Drake Maye obviously provided a great high note for the New England Patriots, and Pats fans are optimistic about the future. But it wasn't only Drake's play that allowed Patriots fans to believe better days are ahead. When you looked at this team yesterday, could have been on offense, could have been on defense, could be special teams. What was a bright spot that you think Patriots fans should be taking from this game that doesn't necessarily focus squarely on Drake Maye?
Um, I want to say that the play of Marty Mapo, but
Mm,
you guys all know me, and you know where I come from. So hats off to Ben Brown.
good. I love it. I knew
Hats
it.
off to Ben Brown, the
Mm,
guy who came in off the street, 3 days earlier. I think he signed on Wednesday, and he didn't get his first practice in until they didn't allow a single pressure. Not one. We're
Not
talking
one.
about the center.
Yep.
And I love it. And I've got to, tip the cap
Yeah.
to Ben Brown.
He also called the game yesterday. I mean, that's
Yeah.
pretty impressive considering
Yeah,
the
he was
company
pointing
that you
out.
are.
Yeah. Yep.
He finds out on the morning of the game that you're going to be the starter because Nick Leverett was not able to go. Our good friend, our mutual friend, Doug Kyatt of the Boston Herald, wrote that he came in on the red eye from Las Vegas to New England on Thursday, and he's thrust right in. You want to talk about a trial by fire? I understand that Drake had that, and of course, quarterback is going to get the major headlines here, and rightfully so. I'm not arguing that, but I'm so glad that you mentioned Ben Brown because he is definitely someone that I believe deserves a lot of credit for the job that he did. And
Game ball.
you want to talk about guys that can be there, next man up. Ben Brown defines next man up this
Finally
game.
found a next man up.
Exactly. And I'm so glad that this offensive line was able to find a little bit of help that they needed because you don't replace David Andrews. You try to mitigate his loss. Ben Brown is doing an admirable job, and I hope he continues to do that. In terms of my high note that I want to end on, I want to give an awful lot of credit to Kayshon Boutte, who, in my opinion, is rounding into a starting caliber player, Murph. He's running routes more crisp. He's showing sure hands. He's giving you that burst of speed that we knew that he could have if you need to take the top off a defense. Not something he's going to do regularly. Yeah. He doesn't have that breakaway, that blitzing type of speed. But Boutte, to me, is showing all of the elements of being a starting caliber receiver, and you love to see it. I think you want to talk about, we talked earlier about beautiful friendships forming between he and Demario Douglas.
Right.
I think Kayshon Boutte is going to be a go-to guy for Drake Maye in the coming weeks as well. Don Murph, thank you so much for your wisdom, your counsel, your insight, your candor. We appreciate all of it. Before I let you go, bud, please let everyone know where they can reach out to you, interact with you, and what you got marinating in Murph's kitchen between now and the next time you grace our airwaves here on Locked On
You can check me out on Zitter at tmurph207. I write for diehardbostonsportsfans.com. You can check out all my work over there. From the former, you can find the latter.
Whenever the man has wisdom and counsel to lend, we're going to accept it and we're going to bring it to you the way we can here on Locked On Patriots. And of course, we want to thank all of you, each and every one of you everydayers out there, all of you casual listeners, and those of you joining Locked On Patriots for the first time. We had several first-time listeners over the weekend that checked us out to hear our thoughts on Drake Maye. We absolutely thank you. We thank you from the bottom of our hearts. A big tip of the cap, and thank you for making Locked On Patriots a daily part of your New England Patriots coverage. Folks, a lot still to come here on Locked On Patriots when it comes to breaking down the loss to the Texans and getting ready for the trip to London and the Patriots taking on the Jacksonville Jaguars at Wembley Stadium this Sunday morning. In the meantime, on behalf of my good friend Thomas Murphy, I'm Mike DeBate, reminding all of you to stay safe, to stay well, to be the change you wish to see in the world. Have a great day, everyone, and we'll see you back here again tomorrow on Locked On Patriots.